I look better without the glasses.
Looks great. Looks great.
I guess so.
I guess first off, what's new regarding Durant?
Nothing. Zero. Nada. Zilch.
How tough is it that it's dragged out this long? I know that the Reggie thing is faster.
We don't think about it. The only thing I think about is trying to help Durant through it. You know, try to prepare the team for it to play as well as it can play with or without him.
Can he practice, or you have to actually?
He can practice.
Okay, so he has been practicing?
We took Sunday off. No. Took Saturday off. Practice Sunday. Practice yesterday. We'll practice today.
And no indication of when there might be a resolution. Are you planning on sticking with Ryan as a starter tomorrow?
Well, we'll wait and hear, but in all likelihood, if Durant is not available, we will start Ryan.
How do you feel about his play, especially late in the season?
Ryan,
yeah.
I think Ryan Brown and Trey McKinney-Jones have been absolutely terrific. Both of them. They're like the ingredient that we need to continue to make progress, because they play both ends of the court. They defend, they rebound, and they score. You know, in basketball, you really only have to do two things. It's amazing. You only have to do two things. One, put the ball in the basket. Two, stop the other team from putting the ball in the basket. That's it. And they do both. They put the ball in the basket, and they do a great job defensively of trying to keep their man from scoring.
You talk about Valpo. I think you do have a game tomorrow night. So, what you see from them? You're going to study their film and.
Oh, we've already done that. We've already prepared. The guys know. We put our guys through drills yesterday. Our green team executed the Valpo offense and played some of the Valpo defenses. They're a team that is very skilled. They're different than any team that we've played, because they rely very heavily on basketball fundamentals and not pure athletic ability. They have good athletes, but when you watch them, you'll see they dribble, they can all dribble, they can all pass, they can all shoot, they all move very well without the ball. They've got a number of guys who can post up. They all rebound, share the rebounding responsibilities, they block out, they run the court extremely well, they share the ball extremely well. They're a very good three-point shooting team. And they're a very hard team to guard. That's why they shoot such a high percentage.
You guys are a heavy favorite. I don't know if you look at that sort of stuff, but how do you?
I don't look at that stuff. What difference does it make what someone else thinks?
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
I don't think that helps your team. What helps your team is to play well, prepare well, and play well.
I guess they've all seen replays of that long pass in the Valpo game since they all the tournament things like that. But that's kind of amazing to say that, you know, that this deep into the season and, you know, middle of March, that they're different from anybody who played. I mean, that really is incredible.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you know, their coach is the guy who made that shot.
I didn't realize
Bryce Drew made the shot that
Bryce
is replayed throughout the NCAA tournament, and he's now the coach. He's also a teammate of my son Jay's in Italy. They both played for a team in Naples back probably 5 years ago. And then they both decided to give up the playing days and get into coaching. They're now both enjoying a lot of success. The reason that we haven't played a team that's like this is because you don't see many teams around the country like this. There just aren't that many teams that play like this team plays.
I was talking to Ryan. He made it sound a little bit like that they're sort of what you guys were late in the Maryland game when you were going 4 guards and Daquan at center. Is that a good indication of what we're going to see?
Yeah, the difference is, like, their best player, leading scorer, player of the year in the horizon is a 6'7", 6'8" forward who can play the 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Now, that's unusual. They play him at the point when he runs ball screens. Then sometimes he is the ball screener. Then sometimes he's posting up. And it's all based on matchups and how to take advantage of whoever's guarding him. So if you put him play a big guy on him, he probably goes out onto the perimeter. If you play a smaller guy on him, he probably goes into the post. And if you've got somebody who they think is weak defensively, they'll have that guy ball screen. So they're constantly creating the matchups that they want versus their better players. And then when you help, they've got excellent three-point shooters at all the spots. Their point guard is very, very similar to some of the point guards we played early in the season. He's like the kid from Purdue, who's very, very quick with the ball and a penetrator.
Getting back to Durant, is there anything you can do to find out a timeline? I mean, is there anything athletic department does?
Oh, we've done everything we're supposed to do. It's my understanding all the information that we have that was needed, any questions that needed to be answered have already been answered. And now you have to wait until the investigation is complete and the decision has been made. There's a lot of flies today.
Yes. Did you find it curious at all that both your kids that were suspended were, just right before the FSU game? I know a lot of people are commenting on that. I was wondering what you thought about that.
I don't think there's any planning involved or any conspiracy theory. I just think that it's an investigation that reaches a certain point, and you have certain information, and then there's a reaction to that information, and you follow the process.
Any tournaments and any upsets in the NCAA tournament we should look out for?
I think in the NCAA tournament, believe it or not, there really aren't upsets. There's one team seated higher than another, and you expect one team to win, but the team you're expecting to lose doesn't think it's going to lose. Like probably the team that I heard people were most surprised about was Iona. Do you know where they rank in the country in scoring? Number one. They lead the country in scoring. Either that or they're of the teams that are in the NCAA. I may have that wrong, but the teams that made the NCAA, it's their one and Carolina's two. So they can put the ball in the basket. You don't guard them very well, they're going to score a heck of a lot of points.
They were saying the same thing about VCU last year. So.
Well, I'm very familiar with VCU, having coached against them for so long. And with VCU, it's not a matter of are they good or not. It's a matter of are their opponent good at handling pressure, because they press for 40 minutes if they can. Now, if the opponent is good at handling pressure, then they'll back it off. But the teams they faced in the NCAA tournament did not handle their pressure that well and did not defend the three very well. And that's what they do. They shoot threes at one end and they pressure you to make mistakes at the other. So if you have a good press offense, you get through the press, and if you've got guys who can defend the threes, you're probably defeating them. But if you don't handle the press, they're going to get layups, and if you don't guard the threes, they're going to kill you with threes. And they're that team that goes small a lot. They'll go with a 6'4" four-man, and they'll put him at the three-point circle, and you'll have some 6'8" guy who can't guard him. That guy will just start raining threes, and you can't stop it because the guy who's guarding him can't guard that guy.
Well, it goes back to what they say, NCAA tournaments a matter of matchups.
It is.
Coach, I know UM came, I guess, one game short of getting into Madison Square Garden last year, and Malcolm talks about that. I know he's from New York. I guess you're from New York. What's it like? What would it be like to play in Madison Square Garden? Why would that be special?
Actually, the last college game that I played was against the University of North Carolina in the NIT at Madison Square Garden my senior year in college. And at that point in your senior year, all you want to do is move on. We lost in the quarterfinals. We wanted to get to the semis. Once you get to the semis, you want to get to the finals. Once you get to the finals, you want to win it. I have not been associated with a team that has won the NCAA championship. I've been with 3 teams that have made it to the Final Four. But at Virginia, in my very first year at Virginia, we won the NIT championship. And I was sharing with a few people last night that there's a lot of similarities between this year and that year. Back in 1980, it was my first year at Virginia. We also finished in a tie with Duke University for 5th place, and we were seated 6th in the tournament, which our Miami team was this year. The 5 teams that finished 1 through 5 in the seedings all went to the NCAA tournament. The 6th team, who tied for 5th, went to the NIT. This year we tied for 4th and ended up in the NIT. So a lot of similarities, and hopefully we can enjoy the same success, because we had 3 home games, and then we beat UNLV in Minnesota in the semifinals and finals to cut down the nets in Madison Square Garden. I have a lot of fond memories of that trip.
I don't think this answer could get you in any officiating trouble, but I'm just wondering, I don't have any figures to back this up. It just seems to me like the pendulum has swung so much now on charge calls as opposed to block calls. And just how do you feel about the way the game is being officiated today? And my other question is, where do the officials come from for this tournament?
They're assigned by the NCAA, the NIT committee. So I don't know who we'll have. Hopefully they'll be from Miami. No, I think officiating over the years has improved. 30 years ago, we only had 2 officials doing games. Eventually they added a 3rd official because they realized how physical the game was becoming and how difficult it was to officiate. And once they added that 3rd official, people expected that, you know, the game would just be much better officiated. The game is so fast, so complicated, and the calls have to be made in a split second. You don't get to review on instant replay. And the play at one end normally just leads to another play at the other end. The thing that has occurred more now, I think, than ever before are no calls. There are a lot more no calls that people think are somehow fouls. Whether they are or not doesn't make a difference. The crowd, the coaches, the players all tend to think one thing. If I shot and missed, I got fouled. If you're the defender, I didn't foul. And then you switch it at the other end of the court. Now, every defensive player thinks he never fouls, and every offensive player thinks if he gets touched, it's a foul. And the officials have done a very good job of keeping the balance between the two.
So you like this, because I can remember, this goes back to the 80s too, watching Kenny Walker of Kentucky. It seemed to me like he ran over people, would get the basket and get the foul, but now it's gone back. Maybe it's more fair, I don't know.
You know, what's fair? You know, you can look at the same play from 3 different angles and have 3 different decisions, and all of them be correct based on your point of view. One guy can say it's a block, another guy can say it's a charge, another guy can say it's a no call. And I think from where you're standing, you can legitimately see why they would think that way.
Have you had to change anything as far as, you know, we always talked about players coming down with rebounds like this. Have you kind of modified that because of this rule?
With the elbows?
With the elbows?
We just try to teach our guys to rebound the ball in traffic and not lose the ball. You know, we've never taught swinging your elbows out.